Hello everyone, you are watching a snippet of the Countdown program from December 5, 2022. Today is Monday. See the full version on Patreon. And thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. It seems that the Ukrainian drone, announced the day before, has taken up its direct duties and began to beat the aggressor in his own rear. According to our viewers from the Saratov region, the explosion occurred at the Engels airfield at 6:40 local time. Later, it was reported that on December 5, a drone fell on the runway of the local airfield. As a result of this fall, two nuclear bombers were damaged. 2 people were also injured and taken to a local hospital. Today there was another explosion at the airfield near Ryazan. A fuel truck caught fire there, and as a result of the explosion, 3 people were killed, 6 more were injured. Immediately they started talking about the fact that Ukraine attacked the Russian nuclear triad. After all, the Tu-160 and Tu-95 strategic bombers are an integral part of the Russian nuclear triad along with intercontinental ballistic missiles and nuclear submarines. A couple of days ago, satellite images of the Engels airfield, which was hit today, were published, which excludes any chance. It is clear that the attack is planned and designed to demonstrate to the Kremlin the readiness to strike deep behind Russian lines, causing damage to military targets used as attacking units. After this incident, Russia took off 14 Tu-95 aircraft, as if demonstrating to Ukraine its surviving fleet. Zelensky's office has already announced a possible retaliatory missile attack. By 2 p.m. Kyiv time, an air raid alert was announced throughout Ukraine. Several groups of Russian rockets headed straight for Kyiv. Launches of caliber from the Black Sea were also recorded. But such a display of rashist anger is no longer able to frighten Ukrainians who are accustomed to rocket attacks and air raids. Ukrainian public specified that the distance from Ukraine to Russian airfields near Ryazan and Saratov is 690 to 860 kilometers, and from Kyiv to Moscow, and at all 856 kilometers. So Ukrainian drones are quite capable of flying to the capital of an aggressive Kyiv, so that Muscovites finally stop asking the hypothetical question, what are we for? And learn to quickly seek cover. Because Putin is not only expensive, but also very dangerous, including for the Russians themselves. And in the Kyiv itself, after the attack on the airfields, a uniform hysteria began. After a report to Putin about what had happened, planes were defiantly lifted into the air, and retribution missiles flew towards Ukraine. But in Putin's environment, everything is seething and indignant. The hawks are eager to demonstrate the capabilities of the defense complex on the brink of nuclear war, leafing through Russia's nuclear doctrine and stopping at paragraph 19, which reads, "The conditions determining the possibility of the Russian Federation using nuclear weapons are, c. Enemy impact on critical state or military facilities of the Russian Federation, the disabling of which will lead to the disruption of the retaliatory actions of nuclear forces." End of quote. Andrei Okun, a journalist from St. Petersburg, writes, "The longer the Kremlin remains silent about such attacks, the weaker it will look in the eyes of Russians. And the strikes will continue and become more intense, especially after such a successful shooting. The war is stealthily creeping into the territory of Russia, and gentlemen officials, accustomed to eating well and stealing a lot, cannot do anything about it." End of quote. Become our patrons and look further in this program. Russian language media vied with each other to report the murder of Chechen blogger Tumso Abdurakhmanov, who has lived in Sweden in recent years. Meanwhile, not a single Swedish media reported this resonant event. Was the blogger really killed, or is this just another info schematosis? The United States thought about Nuremberg for Putin and his inner circle. The creation of a tribunal could push Putin towards the total isolation of Russia from the outside world, turning the country into a fortress cave that is completely withdrawn from civilization into a totalitarian scheme. System schemers continue to hide and dissolve financial assets in the West. As it turned out, it is theoretically possible to freeze the funds of the same central bank, but it is actually problematic to find them. The scandal surrounding the opposition Dost revealed not only the editorial policy of sympathy for the Russian military personnel, but also the main misfortune of the systemic liberals thrown out of the fascist cart. They are no longer needed either inside the cave or outside. And no one believes in the Russian opposition anymore. And that's all for today. See the full version of this program on the Patreon resource. And thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. He hugged everyone. Glory to Ukraine.